You're listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast presented by Arizona Lottery. Don't forget to get out and buy your holiday scratchers today. All right, there's some people that were born to play football. You look at them and you immediately say, wow, that is somebody that was born to play football. I am talking with one of those people right now. Russell Davis Sr. How you doing, Russell?
I'm good, brother. How you doing this morning?
Not too bad, not too bad. We're going to talk a lot about your college football exploits and the pros as well. But first of all, you got some cool stuff going on right now. What do you tell people what you're up to right now?
Oh, well, yeah, I appreciate that. I just have a podcast. I work at a digital marketing firm, and one of the things that our boss, Bill Guzmano, really wanted to get involved was with this NIL and the internet and podcasts. So he was like, dude, you played football. You have a son that plays football. You have access to all these kids. I think this would be a great idea. So over like the last year or so, we've really been just fine tuning it and trying to figure out, exactly how we're going to present this. And, I've got about 17 episodes that I've done now. Probably my most popular one, obviously, would have been the one I had with Deuce. And it went over great. And we're just, kind of reaching out to these parents and talking to them about kids that are in high school. How do you make that transition from high school to college? How do you just pretty much a lot of things that you're hearing now as far as your social media, be careful what you put on there. Don't go around burning bridges, the work ethic. What does it take to be at the next level? So this is all the kind of things that I want to get on there. And I have like different athletes coming on there, not just Deuce. I want to get some of the other guys from U of A. I know Parker Brailsford, the center for
Washington.
UW.
Yep.
Yeah. He played with me youth football. So I'm trying to get a lot of those guys on there to kind of just share their experiences.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about Arizona football. Then we're going to get to Deuce. I'll be honest with you. I thought this team was going to make a jump this year, but I thought it was going to be more in kind of that 6-7 win realm, get to a bowl in year 3 and go from there. I did not think this was going to be a team that was knocking on the top 10 door. You have played on teams that were in the top 10. What have you just seen from this team, and what surprised you, or just what does Russell Davis Sr. see?
It's very interesting. As the season started, I was right there with you, Mike. I was like 7 wins. Maybe if we get 8, that would be awesome. But like you saw, like I saw, once Noah stepped in and he took over, it was just a very different team, and the wins started to stack up. And to be honest with you, me and my wife, we joke about this all the time, but I've said this. I think that the defense will be as good or better than what I played on when I was in college, and we were the number 1 defense 2 years in a row when I was there. I think we have. I mean, you look at our corners with Ephesians and Takario. I mean, I think one was honorable mention, and the other one was a second team DB. These are first year, well, not first year, but first year full-time starters, and you're already getting accolades like that. I think the D line is just going to be amazing. I think the strides that Isaiah, Ward, and Deuce have both made, I think once they put some weight on and put some lead in their pencil and can really get after that quarterback, I think you're going to see 2 guys that can give you possibly double-digit sacks from both of them.
All right, you played on a defensive line that, for my money, is – if there's a better defensive line ever in college football, I would love to see it. When Russell Davis Sr. is the quote-unquote weak link as a second-round pick. But let's just talk about this for a second. You've got Vonnie Holiday, Greg Ellis, Ebenezer Ekubon. I don't believe Julius Peppers was there yet when you were there.
He was my senior year was his freshman year. Okay. So he was redshirted, yes, but he was there.
All right, so just talk about from the D-line, because good D-line play. What does it take from just the interior and the outside to be effective, and then kind of translate that to what you've seen with this Arizona team?
Well, I think, one, you need really good edge rushers. I mean, you need guys that they're not necessarily getting the quarterback on the ground all the time, but you need people that can make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And that's what I think both Deuce and Isaiah will be able to do. And speaking from an interior guy, I mean, you're a 3 technique or a nose guard. You need somebody that can push the pocket. And I think that Kangaika, I think Ty, I think those guys are going to really make huge strides and big jumps for next year. I think Bill Norton was huge this year. I mean, I think for me, I think Bill Norton was probably one of the defensive MVPs. I mean, he's probably the most underrated guy out there for what he brings to this team, that toughness, because nobody really respects what a nose guard does because it's a thankless position. You don't get all the cute accolades, the sacks and the strip sacks, and but being able to take up 2 blockers and allowing Mino to run free and make all those plays. I think he had like 110 tackles this year. So
6.5 sacks.
He's 6.5 sacks. Right. So I just think that with the addition of a great nose guard like that, it has really helped our team and has given some of those younger guys, including my son, that confidence of being able to lean on that older guy who's been there, who has 2 championships, who understands what a championship mentality is. I think that has really been, one of the biggest improvements for us.
All right. Now let's talk about a little bit about Deuce Davis. I asked Jed Fish about a month ago. I said, talk to a little bit about Deuce and what you've seen. And he said, obviously got to continue to get stronger. He said, but he has a unique ability to bend and he has a unique burst off the ball that you're either born with or you're not. You can kind of work with it a little bit, but he said he's a unique player. And he said it's been a pleasure to be able to work with him and to watch him progress. Talk a little bit about what Fish said there, because again, that's you commenting on Jed's comments right there.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's a lot of hard work too. I appreciate the fact that he said you're either born with it or you're not. One of the things that I take a great deal of pride in is when I hear people talk about how hard he works and his motor and how he's always competing. Because when he was young, I knew that the game was evolving, or I could see where the game was evolving to more of a passing game, and you needed people who could get after the ball. And so one of the main people that I think I used to model him after was Simeon Rice. I played with him with the Cardinals for a while. And I just think he was ahead of his time as far as his athleticism and what he did. So that was somebody that I modeled Deuce's game after. Michael Strahan, O.C. Umenyiora. There were a lot of guys like that I would take what I felt like they did great, and I tried to implement that with Deuce. So, for Jed to say that, he's a special talent, that means a lot to me. But it also, I think, puts pressure on him that he needs to perform. I mean, I think he started to show flashes this year that he could get to the quarterback. I think as a father, I watched about 5 or 6 sacks that I was like, man, what are you doing? He just got pushed by because he didn't have that weight. So I think he's very strong. I mean, I see the little videos on social media, and he's power cleaning 275, squatting. He says 600, but I have to see that. So you know how that is. They say one thing and you're like, yeah, okay.
Right.
But I mean, he's a lot stronger for his size than people will give him credit for. But I really appreciate that. With Coach Fish, I think he's done a great job of selecting these young men. When that 22 class came in, there was a lot of hype built up around them and what they were supposed to bring to this team and help this team do. And I think he's done a great job with that. And I think he's done a great job with the recruiting class and putting these young men in a position to really make U of A a contender.
What's the ideal weight for Deuce in your opinion? I know you've thought about this. Come on, I know you've thought about this.
Yeah, I have because I see Kafusi, his what he says, and he shows the guys like this is what the average defensive end weighs. I would like to see Deuce come into his junior year. I'd like to see him around that 240 mark. I think ideally 6'3", 6'4", about 240. And he can still keep his explosion, and he can, really bend and put pressure on that quarterback. I think 240 to 250 would be great for him. But if he can get bigger and still be explosive, then, hey, sky's the limit. I think right now I saw his report card that Kafusi gave him, and one of the biggest things that was on there was like, you need to get bigger. And I think that's hilarious because I'm like, dude, you want to get fat, I can do that. I can teach you how to do that.
Right. I want to talk about what it's like, though, in the offseason with you guys. But first, you might say to yourself, Mike Luke, you're an idiot. You're right. But the first thing that you should know is the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Now, if you wanted to bet on North Carolina back in the days, maybe the over-under on sacks, That would have been a good spot to do it. But again, check out the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Sign up for BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10. If that bet loses, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Check out the show notes for details. And now let's hear Shane with the disclaimer.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
All right, and here's my BetMGM parlay pick, Russell Davis. Tell me if you like this. I like Arizona to beat Purdue this week. I'm back in the A. And I like Arizona to beat Oklahoma. What's Super Bowl champion Russell Davis Sr.?
I'm with you on the Oklahoma. I'm actually going to even give you a number. This is what I think. I think we win that game, and we win it in huge fashion. I think we win 35-14.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, now let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk about the defense, because that's, again, everybody. We'll get to the offense, but the defense though has really. What really has amazed me, first of all, is the overhaul of the D-line. You've got your son, you've got Taylor Upshaw, which they brought in, obviously. You got Isaiah Ward. But then, like you said, the front is Big Bill Norton. You got Kangaika. You got Uiagalelei. There is a plethora of bodies that they're able to throw out. And I'll be honest with you, and you probably saw this from when Jed was initially recruiting. We used to have D-tackles that looked like me. Now we have D-tackles that look like you.
They do. I can absolutely attest to that. When Deuce is his freshman year, it was tough. I mean, we didn't look like we could stop a lot of people. So, when Bill Norton came in and you started getting his size, you started being like, wow, we look like a team now. We're starting to have that, starting to look like Tarzan, a little bit. And everybody's got the size and the strength. And I think that really showed up this year with a lot of big plays, a lot of TFLs, pressures. Upshaw was amazing. I think he finished with 8.5 or 10 sacks, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and so I think that really pushed and motivated those younger guys, my Deuce, Sterling Lane, Isaiah Ward. I think those guys really learned a lot from him and were able to see like what it takes to be in this league and what the size and the strength and what your body endures. Because I know talking with Deuce, when he got a concussion, he had to sit out, and he was just kind of like, wow, Dad, 12 games is a lot on the body. And I'm like, well, yeah, especially when you're only 220 going up against 320. So I think with that size, it has really helped those guys. And I think that leadership has really been something that's helped us get over that hump.
All right, let's talk a little bit about you, though, and when Deuce comes home. What is the workout routine with senior and junior? Because, again, different body types for sure. It's like Vince Wilfork training Julius Peppers. What is it?
I'm not as big as Vince Wilfork, am I?
You're one of the no, but you're not. You don't have the belly that he does. That's very true. You are one of the largest people I have ever seen, and I say that in a good way. But I mean, you guys are just built totally different, though. What's it like, though? Dealing with a guy with a basketball player build and a guy that clearly had a football player build.
It's funny. It just goes back to what I was saying earlier about the kind of defensive ends that I modeled him after. These guys look like small forwards, power forwards now. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think last time he was home as a freshman, we were at LA Fitness, and we were warming up, and I'm like, okay, I'll work out with you, because I'm still thinking about Deuce from high school. I can still work out with him. And I remember getting on the bench, and he's warming up with 225, and I looked at him. I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he was like, I'm warming up. Are you ready? I'm like, no, 225 is as high as I'm going. And he's like, oh God, Dad. Like, he's like proud at me. And I was like, dude, I don't have to take on double teams anymore. I don't have to do that. So when we work out, I'm just there for motivation now. I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. Let's get to one more rep, because, the way these young men work out, I mean, it's their job now, whereas when I did it, it was my job and I gave it my all. Now I'm a dad. I love being a father, my mom, my daughter, my son.
Congratulations, by the way. I saw that.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
about to graduate from GCU.
Very
so,
cool. Right.
Yeah, very happy about that. Then she's going to start her master's program in January. But working out with Deuce just doesn't happen. I mean, I'm more there for the support and to kind of give him some pointers. But my biggest goal as a father, and when he was in high school, was to get him to this level. And I knew once he got Power 5, you don't need that. I'm there. I can give you some advice, some little pointers, but you have major coaches that know what they're doing. They played in the league. They coached in the league. I completely trust him. So if he were to come home and ask for any help, I would help him. But I just don't feel like stepping out there or stepping on coach's toes and telling him something that contradicts with what he's being coached there.
Let's talk a little bit about Tyler Owens. We had T.O. on the show before the season, and I asked him specifically about Deuce, and it was amazing. He was talking about Deuce and Speedy, and he said these are two guys that I really want to see because they have more angular body types. And he said he had he said they're super hard workers. He had such unique goals. And that to me, Mike, is that a little bit different than when you were playing? And again, I don't want to make it out like you were playing in the Stone Age, but again, everything was let's not just get stronger as here's our goals week by week by week. Here's what we want to do. How has it changed? And talk a little bit about T.O. if you got any opinions on that.
Yeah, I think he's done an excellent job down there. I mean, I think I came up under one of the, a really great strength coach in Jeff Madden or Mad Dog. And, when he was at Carolina, he came in there and he took us literally from boys to men. I mean, your strength coach is somebody that you spend probably 90% of your time with. And so you develop this bond and they learn you and they learn what your quirks are. But I think for us, when we were in college, a workout wasn't tailor-made to each individual player. It was, okay, you're a defensive lineman, you're an offensive lineman, you need to be big, you need to be strong, you're going to do power cleans, you're going to do squats. I mean, I think now these young men go into the weight room and they have iPads and they pull up their name and they have a certain workout for Deuce Davis, for Isaiah Ward, for Kangaika. And it's just like, that's amazing to me. Whereas we would come in, you look through D-line, Russell Davis, you grab your workout, you get in a group with other D linemen and you work together and you would just gauge your what you're lifting off of everybody around you and what you could do. There wasn't a computer telling you your max reps and how much velocity you use. Like, so to me, it blows my mind. And a lot of times I do feel like I played in a leather helmet when I talk to him and I see all their equipment.
Leather helmet, like tackling Jim Thorpe or something.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like when he talks to me, like we did a little video and I had an episode where I had kind of shot up field and I was just talking to him and, talking crap to him. And he's like, well, Dad, you got to use your hands better than that. And, just running up field's not going to cut it anymore. And I'm like, I did make it to the NFL for 9 years, Super Bowl champ, buddy. I am kind of good.
I've been around.
I've been around a little bit.
What was your max bench? And don't say something like 300 or something.
No. I've done 405 probably 2 or 3 times. I don't know if I ever just got under a bunch of weight and was like, here we go. I'm going to see how much I can do. I know I've done 405 for a couple of reps. So, maybe 425. All right.
We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. You still feels like you're doing a little more than that. Like you're being modest with us.
No. That's a lot of weight, though, Luke. That's a lot of weight. 405.
No doubt. All right. Let's talk about the offense a little bit. Noah Fifita, like you said. I mean, I'll say this. I saw Noah in high school a couple times, and I saw when during his freshman year, I was like, some dudes just get it. Now, again, I get that he's about 5'8" or whatever, so there was always kind of that question. But man, I mean, you know this better than anybody playing, in that when the quarterback makes things easier for everybody, it makes the defense more. And when you know what's going on, I mean, that 2022 class that your son is a part of, that's a special class. And there's going to be a lot of NFL dudes and a lot of all-conference players coming out of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% when I sit back and watch where these young men started and where a lot of them are now. Just speaking about Noah, I think I was like everybody else. You heard stories about him, and I would hear things from Deuce, and he'd be like, Dad, Noah's got a great touch, and he looks like this in practice. But he never had the opportunity. But once he got out there, and it was like, even when he makes a mistake, if he does throw an interception, it's so minor that as a defense and as a fan and as a father of a defensive player, you don't feel like, oh my God, we're in jeopardy. It's like,
Right.
okay, he made a mistake. I just think he makes everybody better around him, because when you have a good quarterback that can keep the chains moving and can get you 3 points, 7 points, can give you a chance to rest, it makes your defense better. It gives them an opportunity to be fresh when they come back in the game. Like he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, he's very poised in the pocket, which is rare nowadays. I mean, you see so many kids, young men, get skittish in that pocket and they start running around. He sits there and he goes through his reads. If it's 25 yards down the field to T-Mac, or if it's 6 yards out of the backfield to Jonah, he'll take whatever's given to him. And I think to me, that's what I've seen the difference in this team from last year to this year.
Now, you might look at Russell Davis and you said, man, that guy hit the genetic lottery. You might also want to join the Arizona lottery, Russell Davis. All right, now, who doesn't like making money? Go out and buy your holiday scratchers today. Find a retailer like our friends at Circle K near you at Arizona Lottery. You must be 21 years or up. You can put down $1 and win $500,000. Get some of that NFL money, Russell Davis.
Yeah. Or NIL money.
Or NIL money, exactly. All right, Russell, when was the last time you went to Circle K? Have you been to Circle K lately?
I want to say I've been this week. I like their coffee. I do. I enjoy their coffee.
All right. I like Circle K as well. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms apply and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Knocked out 2 reads right there. All right. One player that really struck me as being unique, and then I want to get your take on the Oklahoma game. Jonas Savaiinaea. That's more of who Russell Davis reminds me of as far as the build and everything. I've never seen a dude come in here. And again, you got to remember, we're at Arizona. We're not at like North Carolina where you were playing, where you're obviously a future NFL player and you got a lot of dudes around you. So seeing NFL type dudes come in here was just very unique. But Savaiinaea was somebody that when I first saw him and he was 6'4", 330, and he's got discernible ab muscles. I was like, whoa, this is a different era that we're in here, Russ.
Yeah, absolutely. When I saw him as a freshman, I was like, oh my God, like you knew right away. You can look at certain people, and say, okay, that guy's going to be playing on Sundays, him, T-Mac, those were guys, even as incoming freshmen, I was like, they're special. And to see him and to see a man that's that large and that massive and just look the physique like he has, the flat stomach, I get jealous. I'm like, oh, what's your secret? Like, tell me. I want to know how you do that.
Now, let me ask you this, as somebody that's naturally big, is that just genetics right there?
As far as being big?
It's just as far as being big, but also being able to carry it. Because like you see different body types and whatnot. It's just being able to carry it like that. Is that genetics? Is that hard work? A combination of both? What say you?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, you obviously, you can look at a kid when they're young and you see those square shoulders and their body starts to look like they can carry a lot more weight. So as these young men get older and they're spending time in a Power 5 weight room and their diet, all that comes into effect. So now you have a body frame that's built to put on weight. And now you're working with a great coach who's going to put that weight on. You got great nutrition staff. So things have just changed so much from when I was in school. You didn't have somebody there saying, okay, what's your calorie intake for the day? Oh, you're down 1,500 calories. You need to get, it was just like, go eat and work out. And that's what you did.
What's Deuce's calorie intake?
Not enough. I told him when he comes home for Christmas for a little bit, I think they'll be able to come home like the 29th or something like that. I'm like, dude, you need to hang out with me and my buddies, man. I'm going to take you to the bar. We're going to smoke cigars. We're going to drink beer and eat chicken wings.
We're going to live the American dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, you got to put on weight. Like, that's easy to do. Like, lifting, running, everything you do with football is so difficult. And everything they have you do in the classroom. The one thing that they have a complaint with is you need to eat more.
Right.
That's not a big problem.
You're like, listen, we got a lot of cheese-based dishes here that we can make work. We got a lot of meat as well. Was there a point when you knew that, was there a point when you knew that he was a little bit different athletically, when he maybe could do some things that some other kids couldn't?
You know what? I always wanted him to be an edge rusher. Well, not edge rusher, but I knew I played defense, so I was always pushing him towards defense. I never really pushed him towards offense just because I have a, offensive players are a little bit too sensitive for me.
Right.
It's like, I got to have the ball. I want the ball. It's me, 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 me. Whereas defense, I don't need the football to be successful. So when he was young and I would teach him pass rush moves, and as he got older, I started seeing his development, and I started seeing where, wow, this kid could be special when it comes to rushing the passer. And it was something that I knew that he would, I'd say, probably like 6th grade, 7th grade, so like that middle school age when I really started to see him develop and really starting to understand like what a pass rush could do. And then when he got to high school, it was just, okay, wow, you're getting 10 sacks, 13 sacks, 17 sacks. Like it just started coming. And I was like, wow, this kid's got an opportunity to do something special. And, I'm just waiting on him now to do that for U of A. I think that his junior year, I told him, you need to come in 235, 240. I mean, you got 2.5 sacks this year. You probably missed another 6 or 7. I mean, you could easily get you could be a double-digit sack kind of guy. And that's my aspirations and my goals for him while he's at U of A. I want him to lead the pack. Well, it'll be Big 12 now.
Right.
But I want him to lead the conference. I want him to be that elite pass rusher that in, close games, he can be that closer. When we're up by 7 or we're up by 10 and we need to get somebody off the field, that's what I have in mind for him. And that's what I want for him.
You had to have been a proud pops during that SC game because he was the best pass rusher on that entire field that game. And, that, again, granted, it's not you got to look. Just talk about the SC game there, right? And for people that don't know, 2.5 two tackles for loss, a sack and a half. Talk about your boy right there.
I was at Fox Cigar Bar watching the game, and I was just screaming and yelling because it was, first of all, it was such a great team game, but then to also see your kid be a part of the team, but then be a little bit bigger than the team and get those and get a sack. And I saw him when he got the first one, he was kind of like he was looking around like, yeah, I did it. I was just laughing. And then when he got the second one or the half one, I saw the technique. The first one was, oh my God, he got a sack. I'm so happy for him. But then I started watching his technique more, and I started to see someone who grew and developed in a game. He got the confidence going against such a good team at USC, a great quarterback like Caleb, and he started to develop his own identity, and he started to understand, I could do this. I could compete with these guys, and I may even be better than them. So as a father, I loved it, every second of it.
He also had a nice game against UCLA. Is it something personal against the LA schools?
You know what? I don't know. It does seem that way. He should have had 2 against UCLA. Yeah. He had him in his grasp, but that just comes with, he's got to work on that grip. So when you grab somebody, they're yours. But, hey, I hope he keeps playing like this. And now with the Big 12, we know Nico Marchial. He's at West Virginia. I'm sure we know a couple other kids out there. I think Kansas, I want to say Trey Spivey, he played with him at Hamilton. So he's going to be out there. So, it's always good when we to play against kids that and to go out there and be like, hey, I know you. I came here to kick your butt today.
Let me ask you this, and then we'll get to Oklahoma. Were you surprised? Because I've asked a couple coaches about this off the record and asked him last year. I said, why wasn't Deuce more highly recruited? Because led the state in sacks, NFL bloodlines, looks the part. Now, granted, we're ecstatic to have him, and both coaches said he was remarkably under-recruited, but we'll take him. What went on there? Because to me, that's just was that just a miseval? Because both coaches just said this kid should have been a 4-star prospect. That's what 4-star prospects look like.
That's a sore spot for me because I get really pissed off with the star ratings and all these different places out here that rank these kids 5-star and 4-star. And, it drives me nuts being here in Arizona. Deuce wasn't even top 5 defensive lineman in his own state. But
and he led the state in sacks at a premier school.
Yes, exactly. He had 13 and a half in a COVID shortened year. And then his senior year, he had 17 and a half, won every award,
Yeah.
that a defensive lineman could win. I just think it's hard for these people that are in Texas to evaluate somebody in Arizona.
Yeah.
How do you even come up with this system of I'm going to rate this kid? And and of course, when you hear about this stuff as a father, I want to know, well, how are y'all coming up with this? So
Right.
Kevin McCade, I was talking to him about it, and I asked him, like, what goes into that? And he's like, basically what the star system is. And I thought it was a joke. Even it just made me laugh even harder because it's like, oh, well, these are kids that have potential first round size.
Right.
So it's not you're basing this on their playing or anything. It's like, oh, this kid's 6'5", 280, so he's a 5-star. And it's like, what? Because I could go, I mean, you could get me riled up. There's kids right here in Arizona that were ranked higher than him that went on to all these big schools, and then they started transferring. And I don't think any of the kids that were ranked higher than him at the same position even have the same success that he's having in college.
Well, and see, that's my other problem with the ranking system as well is, yes, if somebody's 6'4", 215 or 220, guess what? They've got 4 or 5 years to put on weight. The whole thing just to me doesn't make a ton of sense. But like I said, we're glad that he matriculated to Arizona.
Yes.
All right, Oklahoma, Arizona. You're back in the A in this one, Russell Davis.
Yes, for the last 2 years, Luke.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, talk to me. How do you see this game unfolding?
I think it's good for us. I think it's going to start out, I think, first quarter, maybe even first half, it's going to be kind of like that boxing match. You're going to feel each other out, some jabs. But I think, Fish is going to get out there and he's going to, let the reins off. I think the team is comfortable enough now. They trust in their quarterback. They trust the offense. They trust the defense. And I think that's a huge part of what has led to their success is the trust. The offense, unlike a year or two ago, where we would give up 35 points,
right.
And the offense had to score 42 points. I think now they understand that if we can hold a team under 21, 17 points, and the offense can go out there and put up 35 points, then we're going to be just fine. So I think that level of trust is what I see a big improvement over the last year is just a trust factor.
And what really, and getting back to the defense here, what's really impressive too is that when you've got those kind of corners that you mentioned too, 6'3", 6'4", it gives you such a margin for error. Now, again, I mean, you played with Dre Bly, who we're going to get to in a second, who was interception machine. But
yes,
even if you get beaten, you can look back and you're 6'4", you can bat the ball around. It's easier to play on an island and it allows the defensive line to really focus on what they're supposed to do there. And the linebackers can play downhill. Everything about this defense just kind of works.
Yeah, it does. That's why I made the comparison earlier. I think this could be a top tier defense. I think what will we like 35 at the end of the season. Yep. I think we make a huge push. We're definitely going to be a top 25 defense next year. I think maybe even at the end of the season we could be in the top 15. Like you said, we have some great corners that can line up and play man. I saw where they just got a young man in from the portal.
Yep, out of Indiana.
Out of Indiana, and that just adds to the depth that we already have. But to be able to line a 6'3" corner up and put him in press, that helps your defense because now you're throwing those routes off, and it's giving your defensive line that extra second or second and a half that they need to get to that quarterback. So just like you said, everything is just starting to come together, and I just think it speaks volumes to what Coach Fish has done with bringing in Coach Nansen. And he's brought in the offensive coordinator. I think everything is just starting to gel and everything is just starting to the cream is starting to rise to the top.
Now, you mentioned you're a cigar guy. What's your favorite kind of cigar?
Ooh. First one, I probably want to start off with a little something mild, but as the Sunday goes on or the Saturday goes on, I like a little more full body, a little Arturo Fuentes.
Oh, you go to okay, I got you.
Yeah. I like Arturo Fuentes a lot. Liga Privada is always a very good one. I have a lot of buddies who are big time cigars where they turned almost their entire basement into a humidor. So I've been blessed to be able to sample some really nice cigars.
You should go check out, you should smoke one of those cigars at the Gila River Casino sometime, Russell Davis. You do you at the Gila River Resorts and Casino. Visit play at Gila.com for more details. You can live like an NFL player. You can live like Russell Davis Sr. They offer an authentic and immersive experience, all kinds of good stuff. Check it out, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and Desert Financial Credit Union. All right, let's find this one right here. And then we're going to talk some Russell Davis football background, because not a lot of you guys know about this, or maybe you do, but I still want to talk about it. All right, Desert Financial Credit Union. Check it out. When you open up a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. You will thank me later. They are about the community for the community. All right. If there's a better defensive line like we talked about in college football history, I want to see it than the North Carolina. We got to talk about this. You played, first of all, Russell Davis, second-round pick, played 8 years in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. Super Bowl
nine. I need that extra year.
Apologize. Super Bowl champ, second-round pick. You were also flanked by some fairly good defensive ends, guys that made a lot of money as well. Ebenezer Ekubon, Greg Ellis, Vonnie Holiday, and then you said Julius Peppers came in as a freshman. Let's just talk about what that was like, because I can't even fathom.
It's crazy because I don't really appreciate that stuff until I sit down and I talk with people like you, or I talk with fans of the game, because at the time I was so wrapped up in being in college and a college life, and I didn't take the time to really experience and to enjoy who I was playing with, and to know that these 4 or 5 years weren't going to be, they were just going to fly by so fast. So it's like, as I've gotten older and now I have a son playing, it's like, gosh, I'm always like, dude, take pictures with this guy. When you go to UCLA, just be a fan of the game. And I hate that I wasn't a fan of the game when I played college or professional. It was just, I got so caught up in the business aspect of, okay, I'm in college and I want to make it to the league, so what do I have to do? I didn't really take time to smell the roses and enjoy, like, wow, you're playing next to Vonnie Holiday. You're playing next to Greg Ellis, Ebenezer Ekubon. Like, all these guys went on to be top 15, top 20 picks. And to me, they were my teammates, but I really didn't just take a second to really embrace and to look around and be like, wow, we did something special here. But now as an adult, I have, my memorabilia. As you can see stuff up on the wall back there. It means more to me now as an adult, and seeing my son go through it. And I'm like, make sure you take pictures. I mean, Upshaw, he's 8.5, 10 sacks. That's, we haven't had that. So be around that, enjoy the moment. So, I love being around those guys, and I love the time that we had, but I just wish I had appreciated it more when I was in that moment.
Let me ask this. Did you guys know at the time that this was special? Forget about enjoying it. Did you know that, man, we're all NFL players?
I think we did. I think my sophomore and junior year, when we were like the number one defense in the nation, especially my junior year, we played like it. We had the ego, we had the swag, whatever you want to call it. We knew coming out there that we were the best defense and we were going to kick your butt no matter what you tried to do. So that came with, once again, that trust, that teamwork, that camaraderie, being together for a year and knowing, like, look, I can count on this guy. I see Dre's always making plays. I see Ebenezer's making plays. I see Russell's making plays. So coming into our junior year and some seniors, we knew that we were better than anybody we stepped on the field with. And I think that's a big part of defense, is knowing that I'm going to kick your ass no matter what you do. That's how much better I am than you. So,
well, it's fun. So when I was growing up, I was in middle school when you were playing, and I remember all that team very well because the stats would always come out. This was when newspapers were still a big thing. Yeah. And the stats would come out, and every single time, Dre Bly, another interception, 8 or 9. I think he might have, I don't know, did he have 10 one year or 9 or something?
I think he had more than that. I think he may have been, it was up there. It was over double digits.
It was wild. Did he ever thank you guys?
Oh, all the time. Absolutely. Dre, even to this day, I stay in touch with a lot of those guys from the 94 class and guys that played on that team. And, Dre will chime in and he's like, man, I just want y'all to know, man, I love you guys. You guys got me drafted up front. because it was one of those
Yeah.
things where he knew if you only had one move, you couldn't do outs and ups, you couldn't do sluggos. You
Right.
had to, if you run your route, and that was it. Because if not, my boys are going to be on your quarterback's head. So we loved him. He loved us because it was, we worked together. It was like, if you can hold those receivers, we're going to get to the quarterback. And then he's like, if you get to the quarterback, I'm going to get those interceptions.
Who was now this has just popped into the top of my mind. Who was the receiver that I believe played in the NFL that always had around 800 yards?
From Carolina,
yeah.
Nate Brown.
Yeah, Nate Brown. Nate Brown.
Yeah.
There's a name for the. I don't know why that just came to my mind.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that one came. I want to say 4 or 5 years in the NFL as well. But
yeah, he played for a little while. Yeah, and you know what's crazy about them? He couldn't see, like he had to wear glasses.
Yeah,
and he used to tell us, like, we used to see him make catches, and we were like, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" He goes, "I can't see, bro." He goes, "When I see a little dot coming at me."
Yeah,
we're like, what the hell?
Well, right. And it was funny. Like I said, I have a lot of memories of that North Carolina team, even though obviously, what was it like playing for Mac Brown? He's obviously back at UNC. What was it like playing for him?
It was really good. I didn't appreciate Mac Brown until he left. I found out what a real head coach is supposed to do. Like,
right.
You think, oh, a head coach is a coach. Head coach is a politician.
Yeah.
He makes sure everything runs smoothly, and he gives it to his coordinators. And I think, Mac Brown was masterful at that. When I was there, I used to look at it like, oh, he's so standoffish. And, all we ever deal with is Coach Torbush, or, Donnie Thompson is my position coach. But once he left to go to Texas, it was kind of like, then you saw guys start to get in trouble a little more.
Right.
You just saw little things start to happen around the team, and you're like, wow, he really held things together. So for me, Mac Brown was one of those people that I didn't fully appreciate him until he left to go to Texas. And then when he came back to Carolina, I was one of those people on social media that I loved it. I thought it'd be great for Carolina. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way any of us thought it would, but
right.
It was just it was great to see him come back.
Okay, now real quick, and then I want you to give a shout out to somebody that definitely deserves a shout out. But first, OGs. Now, here's the deal. OGs, they got all kinds of your gummies and everything that you might want. Maybe a gummy with a cigar. Check it out. To learn more about OGs gummies and where you can find them, head over to OGs brands. All kinds of good stuff. They got the creams, the peaches, all kinds of good stuff. Check it out. OGs. All right.
Excuse me, Michael. What kind of gummies are you advertising there?
Oh, THC gummies. THC.
Oh, okay. Because I was
gummies.
like, really? Is this where we're at now? Where it's just this?
Oh, it's everything. It's a free for all. It's a free for all. It's all legal. Now, we got to give a shout out. You got to give a shout out to your lovely wife right here. Let's talk about just everything. She's on social media as well. Awesome. Like I said, I always talk about the 2024 or the 2022 class and what great parents these all. You guys are at the top of that list. Talk a little bit about your lovely wife.
You know what? She is the backbone to this family. She's the unsung hero. You don't see her a lot. You hear about her, but it's kind of like Kaiser Sose. Like you hear the name, but you're like, does this person really exist? She holds this family together. She's, hey, don't write this. Don't put this on social media. She's all about the family image, and, everything that we do and everything that we're about is about making our family better. And she is the one that holds us accountable to that. And like I said, I just could not thank her enough for what she does around here and what she does for this family. Like some of the things that I tell her, because I'm not like a super emotional person, and she's one of those people that's like, I love you so much and I want you to express your feelings. So one of the things that I always do with her is I'll come sit in the bedroom or wherever she's at, and I'll just be like, Ivana, I want to thank you. And she knows that thank you encompasses so much that I can't even begin to put it into words, like going down a checklist of things that she does for this family. And she just does it with no care about being thanked for it, or she just knows this is my family and I want to take care of them. So absolutely huge shout out. If it was not for Ivana Davis, I don't think any of us would be as successful as we've been.
All right. Before we sign off here, and I lied to Russell. I told him we were going to do 25 minutes and then I would do all the reads, but I did all the reads during while Russell was here because this is such a good time. Russ, you got to talk again about what you're doing though, because you got some really good stuff going on for the people that have just hopped in. What's going on with Russell Davis Sr.?
Yeah. So once again, I work with a digital marketing company, but I've just now kind of gotten more into running the social media podcast arena, and I started my own podcast, The Route with Russell, and basically it's just a podcast for parents and really for anybody, but mostly for parents and young kids who are striving to go to that next level. I want to have coaches come on. I have different guests come on there, the athletes, and to explain to parents, this is what it's like. This is what it takes to be a D1 college football player, or not even just a D1 college football player, but just a college athlete. This is what it takes academically. This is what you need to be doing social media wise. This is what you need to be doing in the classroom. This is how you need to handle yourself. So it's just I think each episode speaks to different levels of what's going on in the sports world. I recently had someone on there who was big into mental health. We talked about the whole Caleb Williams. We kind of touched on what's going on in the football arena. You know, Caleb Williams, when he jumped in the stands with his mom,
right.
You know, that's been discussed. So it's just a forum to where we can discuss what's going on with college football, college sports, and how best to maneuver that with your kids.
All right, in the game of life, Russell Davis Sr. gets it. We need more Russell Davis Seniors. All right, Russ, really appreciate you. We will have you on again this offseason.
Yeah.
I'm putting you in, all right?
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
All right. For Russell Davis Sr., I am merely Mike Luke. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.